Hey guys, welcome to Lovely J Podcast. This is Coco. I'm on the road, headed to a doctor's appointment. But I've been listening to some preaching today. This morning, all this morning. Like, I just been trying to find a word for where I'm at right now. And Dr. Charles Stanley was talking about how we need to love not only our enemies, but need to learn how to love each other. Those of us that do know God need to learn how to love each other. And that thing hit me deep because when he started talking about don't let bitterness make your love die because of what people are doing to you, oh my goodness, that hit really deep. Because people have done so much to me. Just like this morning, as I got out here and got into my car, somebody had put an iron pole up underneath my, where my tires were, so I could run over it. And I know who did it. I do. I know who did it. And little things like that they do over and over. Just like I had a potty incident happen. It's so many different things that go on when you look to people and you try to show them love and you try to be kind as you can, but in return, all they do is everything but love you back. I don't expect love back from nobody because, for one thing, everybody ain't on the same level with Christ. But whenever they do hateful things to you, it's that part in you that's human, that's fleshy, that goes, I don't want to deal with them no more. That part right there. And each time they do something, it takes away, like you just dislike them more and more. Each time they do something to you, because you realize by now, they're trying to play with your mind, your intelligence, your emotions. Like, they're really trying to bring you down and hurt you, and you see that. And you still just keep trying to love them despite. That's just like the church I go to too. Certain ones got their little picks, okay? I know I'm not a favorite of a favorite in the church. And that's fine with me. I'm not one of the leaders in the church. I'm just one that attends. I go in, I get the word, and I leave. I don't speak to nobody. Well, I speak to a few people. But I don't speak to some of the other people. And I would love to speak to some of the other people. But they have shown me so much dislike for me. Their actions have showed me that they don't like me. They don't care nothing for me. And, like, the God we supposed to be serving has put me beneath. That God hasn't, that God won't do for me what he's done for them, and just really try to make you feel low about yourself. And in return of all that becomes a lot of, you can start to turn bitter. I felt myself starting to turn bitter because of some of the things that was happening to me. And every time I feel like I'm not going back to church, I have an unction to go on back anyway. When I hear people talking about the church, I just go on back anyway. And it's not because it's no adversity there, but it's because I actually do love going to church. I don't need a reason outside of I love God, I love God's people. I don't like how they act, but I love God's people. And I know that everybody's not on the same level, but that message this morning was on time for me because I don't give up on people. I do withdraw, though. I withdraw from you in a heartbeat. If I see you trying to hurt me or you trying to bring me down mentally, I've been fighting all my life. I've been fighting all my life, and I see I got to fight with you too. And I didn't learn that the battle is not mine, but the Lord's. I'm going to let God deal with you. I'm not going to stand there and just keep fighting and fussing with you over and over. I just pull my little self back and keep praying for you, and hopefully be an example to you that you don't have to be hateful to get what you want, or you don't got to do things like put iron pipes underneath somebody's car, move people's stuff around. You don't got to do all that, because this world don't like nobody. It don't like nobody. You see the rich is some. You know what? The richer a person is, the sadder they really are. Because there's nothing for them out here. They have everything that they need. And if they don't have a heart of charity inside of them to, be a cheerful giver, then a lot of times all this stuff you see is just them written out happiness. That's the best way I can say, written out happiness. Y'all, I've been watching these reality shows, and I didn't know why I was really watching them, because I'm not really a reality show watcher. But for some reason, I was just led to watch these shows, and I've been watching them. And on all these shows, I used to feel bad about not being accepted and not being around people. And on these shows, I see where they want to be accepted by societies so bad that they give up their true authentic self. And I understand, like, sometimes you got to give up you do got to give up some things to grow. That's period. You do got to give up some things to grow. But just saying, to be part of particular societies, you really got to give up things. And I see that includes people too. Because some of these ladies had to give up the people in their families because of how they act, because they didn't meet the standards of, what society was asking for in that particular place. So they gave up on their families. And I was just like, wow. And I'm entirely too early up here today. I'll sit in the car though. Yeah, or either they might take me early if I go ahead on in. But yeah, from where I am, no, I'm not gonna go on in because I got something planned, so I'm not gonna do that. So from what I have been seeing is that I just had to learn how to accept those things I could not change. Because when I started seeing my family and so-called friends change up on me, I saw them go from friends and family to monitors and watchers and manipulators and just really hateful and sort of be around. Like they would sort of be around. I'd rather sit by myself any day than to sit around somebody who don't like me, and every little step I make, they try to make it a living hell. I lived a life like that. I lived that life with my ex there was no happiness in him. He never had no happiness, and the only time it seemed like he was happy was when he was putting on a false self for people who didn't even care nothing about him. People that didn't even show up to his funeral, mind you. But they made like every time me and him would start doing good, they'd call him, but they didn't show up to his funeral. However, though, that was the choice he made too. But what I'm saying is, to sit around him at times was sore. To sit around family members or friends who are really secret enemies, that's a sore feeling. And I know I can do it because I've done it for years. But I'm just getting older now, and now that I'm getting older, I'm more blunt with things. I'm not going to say I don't have patience, but I have knowledge, if that makes sense. I had patience all those years, still have patience, But now I have knowledge. Now I have confirmation that you really are trying to do things to hurt me and make me feel bad about myself. You really are mocking me. You really are trying to put me down. You really are talking about me. You really are in public, don't want nobody to see you with me or isolate yourself from me. And that's why I let go. I just let go. I was like, you know what? Go ahead. Be yourself. I learned how to stand in the line by myself. It was more than a few years ago. It was back when my daddy passed in 2014. That was the learning. That was my time of coming into who I was as a person in 2014. That's when I started coming into my true character, my true self, and just learning that I did not have a family that I could depend on. If anything was to happen to me where I would be in a real serious situation, there's nobody that I can really say, hey, well, call that person, they'll know what to do. There's nobody. Because once society turns them against you, they turn against you. They won't even take you directly to the hospital. And I tell that story all the time. When I had the kidney stones, and I mean, I'm in the car screaming, and they ride around the hospital like they didn't know, like they did not know that the hospital, where the hospital was. And I said, you missed the road for the hospital. They knew it, but they did it on purpose so that I could stay in pain. So that's why I'm here now. I'm just going to be sitting out here for a while. They did it so that I could be in pain longer. So, you see, that's why people like that, I'm not into like that. And I don't like coming to these doctor appointments either because there are so many hateful nurses and doctors these days. And I just pray one day that God heals me totally of all this stuff that I'm going through and that I can get my eating habits right and things. Because a lot of it is coming from eating. Because there's a lot of people that's just hateful. They hateful and they don't hide that they don't like me. And I don't hide that I know it. Yep. But Dr. Charles Stanley was saying, he was saying, don't let them cause you to turn bitter. And I feel that. I do feel like I was getting to a point where I was starting to get bitter. Until I started watching the reality shows and I realized I didn't want to be like them women either. Them women is searching for love. They searching for people to love them, accept them. And I'm not searching for nobody to accept me. Not at all. I'm who I am, and I'm not above changing myself for better. To change, for the better is one thing, but then just to change so you can fit in, I don't see that. Because I've seen family do that. I've seen family just be chameleons. Like, depending on who they're around, they switch up the voices, everything. And I understand that. I understand you got to play along to get along. No problem with that. That's understandable. But I guess the real thing I'm just trying to say is don't let bitterness smother out the love that you have for God. Because once that love you have for God, once you see yourself, getting to a point where you hate people and you don't love this person because of what they done to you, and you get to a point where, like, it's just a sick feeling in your stomach every time you see them. You just get disgusted. And I got to pray on it because I ain't going to lie. I got some disgusting feelings in me about certain people. Because certain people been doing things to me for years. And I've been forgiving and forgiving and forgiving and forgiving. And then Dr. Charles Stanley comes along and say, well, you got to keep on forgiving. Because the Father keeps on forgiving you. So, I get it. I get it. It's just a refresher. Yeah. I'm right here parked in the sun. It feels so good I could take a nap. I actually feel like I woke up too quick. And then I get this hat. Y'all, let me tell you. It's the most comfortable little hat. But it's one of them caps that is also a little tight. It's a little tight a little bit. It's either that or this thing here. It might be this thing. I don't know. Might be this wig cap. Probably is. I caught myself putting the wig cap on so that the hat might lay flat. So I don't know. But yeah, don't let nobody cause you to be bitter today, okay? They're going to try you. They're going to do everything they can to get you out of your character. But don't fall for it. Because the enemy is out here. The enemy's on his job. And we as believers, we got to be on our jobs too. And I know the enemy be at me because I keep forgetting to do Kiva. And I know I want to go back to doing Kiva. But I keep forgetting about it. You know, it's like it's not there. I haven't done Kiva in 6 months. And now it's time for me to go back and start studying the Word because when I was doing Kiva, I just felt closer to God. And then as months went by, I still feel close to God. But I feel like there's more for me to learn. Like I'm not done learning yet. And I just rebuke that spirit that wants me to feel like I am done learning because I'm not done. And that was one way I was able to understand the Bible. And I do feel like I had a correct interpretation of what the scriptures meant and study. Because I have to study to understand things. And, yeah. So, I need to get back to that. All right, y'all. Well, that's all I had to say. I know it's not much, but, you know, just don't let bitterness take over your heart. At the end of the day, we all do things that God constantly forgives us for. He has to keep forgiving us, so we got to keep forgiving others. We don't have to sit up on them. And we certainly don't have to take, you know, some of the things they like doing to people. But we do have to forgive. All right. Peace, love, and happiness. Y'all have a great day. Have a blessed day. I don't think I've said that in a long time. Have a blessed day. Peace, love, and happiness. I may have already said that, but